Let me begin with a question that cuts deeper than most people realize. Whose life are you really living? Is it yours, or is it shaped by the expectations, opinions, and judgments of others? Too many people spend their days trying to impress the world, trying to fit in, trying to please everyone except the one person who truly matters, themselves. But the truth is simple. Real growth never comes from performing for the crowd. It comes from choosing your own path, honoring your own values, and committing to your own development. When you grow for approval, your progress is fragile. One negative comment can shake you. One disapproving look can discourage you. One opinion can derail your momentum. But when you grow for yourself, your progress becomes unshakable. You rise because you choose to rise. You improve because you decide your future is worth investing in. You build strength from within, not from applause. True transformation begins the day you stop seeking permission to be who you are. When you stop living as a reflection of others and start living as the creator of your own story, your growth becomes powerful, steady, and real. Grow for yourself because the person you become is the only approval that truly lasts. External approval is temporary while inner growth is permanent. Because anything built on the opinions of others can disappear the moment those opinions change. When people base their confidence on praise, recognition, or admiration, they unknowingly hand over control of their self-worth to the outside world. Approval from others may feel rewarding for a moment, but it fades quickly. It cannot sustain long-term confidence because it depends on factors no one can fully control. People's opinions shift, circumstances change, and the applause eventually dies down. If your growth depends on that external noise, then your motivation weakens every time the noise quiets. Inner growth, however, does not rely on anyone else. It is built from your decisions, your discipline, your persistence, and your belief in your own potential. When you grow for yourself, you create a foundation that cannot be shaken by criticism or strengthened only by praise. You develop a sense of stability that comes from knowing who you are becoming rather than what others think of you. This type of growth lasts because it is rooted in your identity, not in their approval. Consider a person who begins a journey of self-improvement only because others expect it. They may work hard at first, but their motivation remains fragile. A single negative comment can discourage them. A moment without recognition can make them lose interest. Their progress stops the moment the approval stops. The effort was never truly their own, so the growth never becomes part of who they are. Now picture someone who grows for personal reasons. They pursue their goals because they want to become stronger, wiser, healthier, or more capable. Whether anyone notices or not, they keep moving forward. Whether people applaud or criticize, they stay committed. Their progress might be slow at times, but it remains steady because it comes from within. This type of growth adds to their inner strength every day. Over time, they build confidence that does not depend on the opinions of others. External approval can also create pressure. People who chase recognition often feel the need to maintain a perfect image. They worry about mistakes, fear judgment, and avoid risks because they do not want to disappoint others. This pressure limits growth. It keeps them stuck in a small version of themselves. They end up living a life shaped by expectations rather than by desire. Inner growth has the opposite effect. When you grow for yourself, you give yourself permission to learn, to try, to fail, and to try again. You are not performing for anyone. You are developing step by step, becoming more capable with each effort. This freedom allows real transformation to occur. You push yourself because you want to grow, not because you fear disapproval. As a result, your progress becomes deeper and more meaningful. Another reason inner growth is permanent lies in the power of self-awareness. When you grow for yourself, you become more conscious of your strengths, your weaknesses, and your potential. You understand what fuels you. You choose goals that resonate with your values. This clarity creates direction. It gives you a reason to keep improving even when the journey becomes difficult. External approval cannot provide that kind of direction. It only pushes you as far as others are willing to applaud. Ultimately, the growth you pursue for yourself becomes part of who you are. It forms habits, strengthens discipline, and shapes identity. These inner changes last a lifetime. They influence how you think, how you act, and how you respond to challenges. External approval might give you a moment of confidence, but inner growth gives you a lifetime of strength. Choose to grow for yourself. When your motivation comes from within, your progress becomes unstoppable and your confidence becomes unbreakable. Your path must match your purpose, not their expectations, because true fulfillment only comes from walking a road that reflects who you are, not who others want you to be. Many people spend their lives following a script written by family, society, or the opinions of the crowd. They chase careers that impress others but leave them empty. They pursue goals that earn praise but offer no personal meaning. They try to fit into a mold that was never designed for their strengths, dreams, or passions. When your life is shaped by external expectations, you may achieve success in the eyes of others, but inside you feel disconnected from your own potential. A meaningful life begins when you decide to honor your own purpose. This requires listening to the quiet inner voice that points you toward the things that matter to you. Purpose is personal. It is shaped by your experiences, your strengths, your passions, and your values. No one else can define it for you. When you choose a path that aligns with this inner compass, your progress becomes more natural and your motivation becomes more powerful. You stop moving because someone else expects you to, and you start moving because your soul is calling you forward. Following someone else's expectations often leads to frustration because those expectations rarely consider your unique abilities. What excites you may not excite others. What challenges you may feel easy to someone else. What feels meaningful to you, I appear insignificant in the eyes of those who do not share your values. If you allow these differences to control your decisions, you end up living a life that does not reflect your true identity. You shrink your dreams to fit their opinions. You silence your intuition to avoid judgment. Over time, this disconnect creates stress, resentment, and a sense of being lost. When your path matches your purpose, everything shifts. You begin to feel energized instead of drained. You feel clarity instead of confusion. You feel grounded instead of pressured. Obstacles feel lighter because you are moving towards something meaningful. Even difficult days become manageable because you know why you are doing what you are doing. Purpose provides direction. It gives meaning to effort. It strengthens resilience in a way approval never can. One of the greatest benefits of choosing your own path is that it encourages growth in the areas that truly matter to you. Instead of spreading your energy to meet everyone's expectations, you focus your efforts on the goals that align with your dreams. This focus allows you to improve faster, develop deeper skills, and experience progress that feels rewarding rather than exhausting. You begin to see improvement not as a burden, but as a natural part of becoming who you are meant to be. Walking your own path also frees you from comparison. When you live for others, you constantly measure yourself against their standards. You wonder whether you are doing enough to satisfy them. When you live for your purpose, comparison loses power. You understand that your journey is unique. You recognize that your pace, your direction, and your milestones belong only to you. This freedom creates confidence. It allows you to celebrate your growth without worrying whether others approve. Choosing a path that aligns with your purpose is not always easy. It may require letting go of certain expectations, opinions, or relationships. It may require courage to stand out, to take risks, or to pursue something unconventional. But the reward is worth it. A life guided by purpose brings peace, meaning, and authenticity. It allows you to look back one day and say that you lived true to yourself, not to the demands of others. In the end, your life is your responsibility. Your fulfillment depends on your willingness to follow the path designed for you. When you honor your purpose, you honor your potential. Everything you build from that place becomes real, lasting, and deeply satisfying. Self-growth builds self-trust because every time you choose to improve for your own sake, you create evidence that you can depend on yourself. Trust is not something you develop overnight. It forms slowly through repeated actions that prove your commitment to your own progress. When you grow because you want to, not because someone else expects it, you strengthen the bond between who you are now and who you wish to become. This connection becomes a source of inner confidence that no outside voice can replace. Self-trust grows when you make a promise to yourself and keep it. Even if the promise is small, the follow-through matters. If you decide to read a few pages a day and you follow through, your mind records it as proof. If you commit to improving your skills and you consistently show up, your mind records that too. Each effort becomes a quiet message that says you can rely on yourself. Over time, these messages accumulate until confidence becomes a natural part of your identity. When you grow for approval, you depend on the reactions of others to stay motivated. If they support you, you feel strong. If they criticize you, your confidence wavers. This dependence weakens self-trust because it teaches your mind that your worth is tied to external voices. But when you grow for your own reasons, you learn to stand on your own foundation. You act based on values, not opinions. You move forward because it matters to you, not because someone is watching. This independence strengthens your inner voice, making it louder and more reliable over time. Self-growth also builds self-trust by revealing what you are capable of. Many people underestimate themselves because they have never given themselves enough time or effort to see their true potential. When you pursue personal growth consistently, you discover strengths you did not know you had. You learn how determined you can be. You learn what happens when you practice discipline, patience, or resilience. Seeing yourself improve becomes undeniable proof that you can handle challenges. This proof builds trust in your abilities, making you more confident in future decisions. Self-trust deepens when you learn to keep going even when things get difficult. When you grow for yourself, setbacks do not stop you. They may slow you down, but they do not break your spirit because your motivation comes from within. Facing adversity with this mindset teaches you that you are stronger than circumstances. Each obstacle you overcome becomes another reason to trust yourself. You begin to realize that you can endure struggle, adapt, and rise again. This resilience becomes part of your identity. Another way self-growth builds self-trust is by helping you understand your intentions. When you commit to personal growth, you take time to reflect on what matters to you, what you want to avoid, and who you want to become. This clarity makes your choices honest. When your actions match your values, you stop feeling conflicted or confused. Instead, you feel aligned and consistent. This alignment strengthens trust because it proves that you are willing to stay true to yourself, even when it is not easy. Self-trust is also created through discipline. Discipline is not about forcing yourself to do something. It is about showing your mind that you can follow through on what you say is important. When you practice small disciplines daily, you teach yourself that your word matters. Over time, this builds a deep sense of reliability. You become someone whose decisions carry weight because you act on them. The more you grow from within, the more you trust your judgment, your intuition, and your direction. You stop doubting every choice. You stop waiting for approval. You stop fearing failure. You begin to believe that you can handle whatever comes your way because you have proven it through your actions. In the end, self-trust is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. It empowers your choices, strengthens your character, and shapes your future. True confidence does not come from applause. It comes from knowing that you can depend on yourself day after day. When you grow for yourself, you build a foundation of trust that nothing outside of you can shake. Living for yourself unlocks true freedom. Because the moment you stop seeking approval, you reclaim control over your life. Many people live under the weight of opinions, judgments, and expectations. They have dreams, but those dreams remain hidden because they fear what others might think. They want to change, but hesitation keeps them trapped in the same patterns. This fear shapes their choices, limits their growth, and suppresses their voice. Freedom begins when you release the need to impress anyone and start focusing on what feels right for your own life. When you stop chasing approval, you stop performing. You no longer live like an actor on a stage hoping the audience applauds. Instead, you step into your real identity, the one that does not need permission to exist. This shift feels empowering because it owes the pressure to meet standards that were never yours. You no longer carry the burden of trying to satisfy everyone. You begin to breathe more freely, think more clearly, and act more boldly. Living for yourself does not mean living selfishly. It means honoring your values, your dreams, and your energy. It means making choices that support your well-being rather than choices that simply maintain an image. When you act from that place, you become more authentic, more present, and more grounded. This authenticity attracts the right people and creates the right opportunities because your life begins to reflect who you truly are. Approval from others can change in a moment. People praise you today and question you tomorrow. They support you when your choices match their beliefs and criticize you when they do not. When your happiness depends on these shifting opinions, your life becomes unstable. But when your happiness comes from within, you gain a sense of stability that external voices cannot shake. Your emotional world becomes calmer because it is rooted in your own direction, not in the reactions of others. Freedom also appears when fear loses its power. Many people avoid taking risks because they worry about being judged. They silence their ideas. They shrink their personality. They hold back their talent. When you stop living for approval, those fears loosen. You start saying what you truly think. You start exploring the ideas you once avoided. You take steps toward goals you once doubted. Each bold action proves that you do not need validation to move forward. This builds courage, and courage fuels growth. Living for yourself also improves the quality of your relationships. When you are authentic, the right people recognize and appreciate you. They value you for who you are rather than for the role you play. You no longer cling to relationships that drain your energy or force you to pretend. You attract people who support your journey, not people who shape it for their own comfort. This creates deeper connections and a healthier emotional environment. Another benefit of living for yourself is the clarity it brings. Without the noise of outside expectations, your mind becomes clearer about what you truly want. You begin to see your goals with sharper focus. You recognize the habits that matter and the ones that hold you back. You develop a sense of direction that comes from within. This clarity fuels faster progress because your actions finally align with your personal vision. Ultimately, true freedom comes from self-responsibility. When you stop blaming others, stop pleasing everyone, and start taking ownership of your life, you gain complete control over your future. You walk with confidence because your steps belong to you. You make choices with pride because they reflect your truth. You grow without hesitation because you are no longer waiting for approval to begin. Living for yourself opens the door to a life filled with purpose, peace, and personal power. It allows you to rise on your terms, shine in your own way, and create a future guided by your inner compass. That is the freedom no one else can give you and no one can take away. True growth begins the moment you stop performing for the world and start building a life that feels right to you. Approval fades, opinions shift, but the relationship you have with yourself remains constant. When you choose to grow for your own purpose, your confidence strengthens, your direction becomes clear, and your freedom expands. DS. You no longer rise and fall with the noise around you. You rise because you choose to. You grow because it matters to you. Let your journey reflect your values, your dreams, and your potential. Live boldly, live authentically, and live for yourself. In that space, real transformation takes place and a life of meaning begins to unfold.